if you go for strict, authentic narrations, then you have one picture, but if you have the evidence speaks for itself, then you can get a different picture altogether. What's your clarification on this? When the same two people from the same dialect or
tribe,
reciting differently, if the Prophet taught them differently, and how is it making it easier? To give an example, in Surah Al-Furqan there are examples where there are single and jama', a word is recited in singular and plural. Examples of where it's ya'malun and ta'malun, something like this difference of grammatical declension. How is it making it easier for a two adult companion rather than, say, someone who's very old and especially women who are not very literate, or children? Because for that we can have an understanding of, okay, there are some difficulty for them, for example, you're very old or you're literate as well. But two persons who are actually very adult, mature person, who are learning directly from the Prophet, how are these making it easier for them to recite? I mean, what's the difference in terms of choosing variations?
Got one immediate possible response and another one. The immediate possible response is that you're trying to remember something, and was it they or he? Can't remember. Was it they or we? Doesn't matter, say whatever, as long as the meaning's there. So one kind of ease is that as long as you get the general idea right, you're okay. Now the other thing is that you were talking about the way the Prophet ﷺ taught me. Do we know the way the Prophet ﷺ actually, well, again, there's riwayat that do give us an indication, like he taught us this he taught us this dua, like he would teach us a surah of the Qur'an, for example. So we understand that there were words that were taught in a certain form, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it always has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I wonder whether it was a 1-ish, followed by a 2-ish, followed by a 3-ish, followed by a 4-ish, followed by a 5-ish, because we don't actually know. As long as you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that kind of order, again, it's back to the idea of what was it when we say the way the Prophet ﷺ recited. What do we actually mean? Because we're thinking in terms, we're expecting, and people have expected for, literally 1400 years or whatever it is, they've been expecting a very limited understanding of the way the Prophet ﷺ recited it, which is why there's a problem in the first place. Because that Sayyidina Umar says, look, and that's the wording, isn't it? So that hadith is such a critical thing, because to understand that is to basically understand everything. Because he was told, yes, that was the way it was revealed. Now what does that mean? Was revealed with exactly that sort of, Perish Zabra and all this kind of thing? Or does it mean that, yes, that was the meaning, that was the dhikr, because the dhikr is something that reminds you. Again, it's not I suppose the dhikr, you could say it's, hey, do that, remind yourself of that. I mean, there are lots of loose ends, you see. What does that mean? If I heard in South Africa use the expression, park that. Meaning, just like, leave that thought on the side for a while. So,
what we know today, that ahruf were slight variations in the text of the Qur'an. These variations were what? There were sometimes synonyms. For example, a word was used for something, another tribe would use a different word for the same meaning. So these variations were allowed so that they can easily learn the Qur'an despite the tribal pride and the tribal differences.